Hello, YouTube. I'm Vince White. I'm an employment attorney, and I'm just pulling up a question here. On this channel, we answer publicly posted questions from YouTube users, getting folks the answers they need from an employment attorney. My lighting is failing me. I look very harsh. It's fine. It's fine. You don't come from my face, right? All right, so we got a question here from YouTube user Vegas, who asked us, "Hi Vince, what makes a $1 million discrimination lawsuit?" Okay, this answer is going to be a little bit unsatisfying for you, but it's going to also be very, very accurate. Listen, there's some other videos on the YouTubes like, like a $1 million case would be like a physical touching case and sexual harassment, like sexual assault, stuff like that. That's not really how any of this works. So, I mean, it can be. That case could certainly be a seven-figure case, a $1 million case, right? But the real answer here is a $1 million discrimination, workplace discrimination lawsuit is a workplace discrimination lawsuit that wins, that has a damages calculation that can achieve seven figures. Which is simplified, right? That's very simple. But here's the deal: you can make it up. You can make up your seven figures any way you want. You can say, "Oh, I've got $700,000 in economic damages because I made $350K a year and I was unemployed for 2 years." Great, we got $700K. And then I didn't treat that much, so I've only got about $100,000 in emotional damages. My emotional damages verdict wasn't that high, but that gets us to $800,000. Are we dead in the water? No, because if you had a retaliation claim, you could have punitive damages. So you went to trial, you risked it all, you rolled the dice, and you won. And you won on the discrimination claim and the retaliation claim, and the jury's going to assign you some punitive damages. Punies for the win. I love the punies, right? Now, punitive damages, to be clear, I don't mean like weak people, not puny people. That's not what I'm going for here. Although there's nothing wrong with being physically weak, certainly. Now, so let's say the jury assigns you $200,000 in punitive damages. Congratulations, you just got a seven-figure case. You're welcome. Now you got to hope the judge doesn't knock any of that down, but based on the calculation we just threw out, sounds like the judge might stand by all of that. There's a decent chance. So you may have just achieved a seven-figure $1 million verdict on that case, right? Tremendous. I'm thrilled for you. Now, could we have swapped that around? Could you receive $1 in economic damages, $1 in emotion damages, and $10 million in punitive damages? Sure, that could happen. It could definitely happen. And I say that to point out that, like, any of those categories of damages could change and will change from case to case, right? There's cases with huge economic damages. Huge. Listen, if you earn $500K a year and you're out of work for 2 years, probably got a seven-figure case right there if you win, right? Don't even worry about the emotionals. Don't worry about the punitives. Listen, do you want more than $1 million? Of course. Yeah, but I mean, in terms of just getting the answer here, just getting to $1 million, that is going to be enough, potentially, depending on how the jury sees things, if they side with you and how they calculate your damages, if they feel like you tried to mitigate enough, you kept your mitigation journal, all of these things, right? So, too, could you instantly find a new job, right? You're terminated, you're unemployed for 30 seconds. So your economic damages are close to a zero, right? Actually, I think I'm not supposed to make that symbol anymore. The OK symbol is apparently like a white. I actually don't think it is a white supremacy thing, but I think that's like a thing that Twitter says now. So I apologize. That was not my intention. I'm just saying zero. I literally just trying to hold up my fingers to say zero. Twitter is just actively ruining the world. All right. Anyways. So where was it? Oh, okay. Yeah. So you're unemployed for 30 seconds. You find an exact equal job or even a better job, pays better, better conditions, better in every way. Your economic damages are going to be close to zero, right? But boy, what you were put through was so horrific, emotionally speaking. It was horrible. And you have physical symptoms of your anxiety as a result. You've been through horrible trauma. Your trauma is well documented. You've been treating with mental health professionals. You have the peak of emotional damages. And somebody's immediately going to say, but Vince, there's caps. Okay, yes, to an extent, in certain situations, in certain ways. That is a complex conversation. And also, there's going to be state and local laws that may not be capped. So, like, expand your mind. Okay, like, yes, certain situations are caps that you may have to contend with. They may be soft caps. They may be defeatable. They may also just not be as big an issue in certain jurisdictions. So, like, slow down, right? But that being said, good point. But let's just assume. So you could have multi-million-dollar emotional damages verdicts, right? Like, that happens. People I know have had those cases. Certainly, I've worked on cases that had 7 figures of emotional damages, right? It's not impossible. Rare. It's uncommon, but not impossible. It happens. So you get this, 30 cents of economic damages, 30 cents for 30 seconds. I don't know. I know it doesn't make sense, but yes. And then 7 figures of emotional damages and $1 in punitive damages because you just had a little retaliation claim, but the jury didn't care about it. Great. You got $1 million. Got $1,001.30. Yeah. Right. So there's so many ways for that to come up. I think what you're probably asking me is, what does a 7-figure case look like? Looks like a winner, right? Like, I can't go out and tell you, like, listen, I can describe some really horrific cases that have a higher chance of getting higher awards. That is certainly a thing that happens, right? I can also describe cases that are in certain states where the damages calculation is more beneficial to the plaintiff. I often joke that a case is worth 8x in California what it's worth in New York. That is not entirely accurate, but it sure seems like it sometimes, right? Like, it's just differences in how damages are calculated, differences in jury pools. There's some amazing jury pools in New York, don't get me wrong. So, like, where the case is matters, because you're going to have different laws with different caps, with different calculations for different kinds of damages, and different people who will sit as a jury on that case. That matters, right? So I can throw out, like, oh, a hate crime with a physical assault could be a 7-figure case, but it could also not, depending on where it is, depending on the damages calculation. These things all matter. So if you're just gonna, and you're not, the YouTube user Vegas, you're definitely not doing this, right? I'm actually taking issue with a couple of attorneys that I've seen kind of be like, pew pew, this is how 7-figure case looks. No, that's not how any of this works, and you knew that when you made the video, but you wanted the clicky bait. You wanted the clicky bait to get people to click to go look at your site, right? Because you want the cases, and that's fine. I mean, listen, as long as you're being honest with those people when they click and you talk to them, that's good, because I don't think you're, in these videos that I'm thinking of, they're not like openly lying, but they are oversimplifying, and they are not really conveying the totality of this thought process, the totality of this calculation. And I do view that as a slight disservice, right? Because if you watch somebody's video and you're like, hey, that case that person described sounded just like mine, and that person got 7 figures, and you don't know things like, well, how are the damages calculated? How do the local and state laws impact that? Did they beat the soft cap and the emotional damages? Did they, like, there's so many things, right? So, was there a jury pool? The most incredible jury pool. Was there judge pool? Very prone, very plaintiff friendly, so that when juries get wild and get big verdicts, they don't knock them down. All factors, right? And sometimes when you have attorneys on YouTube saying nonsense, then clients watch the nonsense and they go to their attorney in, I don't know, Spokane, Washington, and be like, Theodore, my counselor, why did you only win me $400,000? My case sounds like the case that should win $1 million. You've sold me out, Theodore. And it's like, well, no, not necessarily. Theodore may have done an amazing job given your damage calculation, given your jury pool, given the laws at Theodore's disposal, right? Like, I don't know. I'm not going to speak to the local and state laws of Washington State because I'm not allowed to. You gotta ask Theodore. Also, Theodore is obviously fictional. I hope that's clear to everyone. There's not like, I'm sure there is an attorney in Spokane, Washington named Theodore. There very well may be, but like I don't know that person, and I'm not saying that you should or should not hire them. What I'm saying is, Theodore could wake up one day, hypothetical Theodore, and say, "Why is this client convinced that I should have won them 7 figures? Why are they threatening to burn my house down and saying I sold them out? I don't understand. Who would give them that impression under the circumstances and the calculations and the laws we had at our disposal? We did amazing. Why? Why am I receiving death threats?" Right? And the answer is because some attorney on the internet gave an oversimplified, half-tushied answer. That's why. And it's creating grief for people who are actually practicing and who are not just trying to create a clickbait funnel to get clients to call a firm, right? Is this a fun answer? No. No, because what we want to do when we've been wrong, just think about all the money that we're going to rip out of our employer, right? And maybe you will. I sure hope you do. But lying to you or oversimplifying things for you does you no good. And I'm not saying anyone in particular does that or did that. I'm just saying I have a general notion that I've seen videos that make me go, not good. All right? So, YouTube user Vegas, I hope this was helpful. If it was, like, subscribe, comment down below. That helps me to help more people just like you. And remember, almost everybody works, but not everybody wins.